Hey, you guys, it is Renee Lee here, your Soul Purpose Success Mentor, and I am celebrating 6 months trigger-free with my mother. This is a big deal. It's a big deal. Some of you guys know um, the healing journey that I've been on with my mother since October. I had some really great big breakthroughs, which has kind of snowballed into a massive transformation. And I mean real transformation. Real transformation as in not just managing a trigger, not just choosing something new in the face of a trigger, not just, band-aid solutions to slowly climb energetically, but a true transformation that completely disappears the trigger. This is what's happening right now. 6 months trigger-free with my mother. It's disappeared. And I want to talk to you today about how that came to be so and what transformation really means and how I got here, right? So, because it's so interesting. So for years, first of all, for those of you that have followed me for years, I've talked about, this anger thing with my mother, because I believe that when you want to build your business, when you want to build a successful business and continually evolve into your self-mastery and soul purpose success, you've got to deal with you and your personal energy, right? So I take a holistic approach to business building. It's all about who you're being. Because in truth, your personal life and your business, they're both live within your energy fields. You're the common denominator. So who you be and when you heal yourself, it makes a massive difference in growing your business, or how much success, money, and clients you allow into your life, right? And so I've always looked at my own personal life in order to let myself grow in my business, right? So I've been transparent with this. And in years past, I've talked about my dynamic with my mother, and I've called it a rubber band effect. It's like when I'm stretching and I'm stretching to really anchor myself in higher vibration, and I'll get there. So I'll be like really stretching. I'm like, this feels great. I've created new results, new success, new money, all this new stuff feels really great. And then once I have some kind of interaction with my mother, it's like snapped back down to anger, snapped back down to lower vibration. Some of you can call it the upper limit problem. Gay Hendricks calls this the upper limit problem. But before I read his book, I've always called it the rubber band effect, because that's how I literally, that's how I felt, like in the trigger. It felt like a snapping back, a huge jolt snap. And it never felt good, because I would also be in the anger. I would stew in it for long periods. And it just never felt good. And so I've talked about it as a rubber band effect and how we need to really manage that so that we don't get snapped down, right? So I've been trying to heal up my anger with my mother and heal up my relationship with my mother for many years now. In the beginning, I would just put boundaries down because I wanted to see how long. My thinking was, if I did not have the trigger that snaps me back, if I can keep myself in extended periods of feeling good, right? Extended periods of feeling good, that I can, loosen the rubber band, and then that new level of goodness and success would be my next baseline norm. Does that make sense? So that I would be anchored into this next level of energy. If I just let myself stay there longer, I would be anchored in there. So what I did years ago was I would put boundaries with my mother, limit my interaction with her, limit my phone calls with her, etc. I even went to as far as dropping my kids off and then not really going in to interact with her. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not proud of some of the ways in which I have push my mother away for the sake of me managing my personal energy in the name of growing my business. I've been pretty ugly to her, and I'll own that, right? Now, I'll talk more about personal responsibility in a bit, but I just want you to give you that context that I've been having this particular dynamic with my mother, angry for decades with my mother. And I've been consciously looking at it, trying to heal it up so that I can grow my business even more and more, because I know personal breakthroughs lead to business breakthroughs. And so I've called it the rubber band effect in the past. Now, here's the thing. So this past October, I've had some really major breakthroughs where I finally stopped blaming my mother. And this is huge. So celebrating 6 months being trigger-free and really celebrating this true transformation where the trigger's gone, where the rubber band has completely disappeared. There is no more managing the rubber band. It's completely gone, and it's amazing. It feels good. I freed up my soul from this anger that I've carried for decades. This is the soul freedom that I talk about. True transformation is permanent and a disappearing of the trigger. So how did I get here? It really started to shift for me in October, and this is also in part Guan Yin helping me to heal the backside of my heart. It's in part to my coach who's really held space for me. It's in part to me really being committed to looking at the darn thing, right? Like, what else am I not seeing? Once I started to shift in October, or rather, here's the real shift that happened in October. I started to take responsibility for my part in the trigger. I started to take responsibility for my own trigger. I realized that I was the one that pushed my mother away since age three. So at 3 years old, I lost my sister. My older sister, who was 1 year older, she died really suddenly overnight. So I was sleeping, I woke up, my sister's gone, completely overwhelmed. I was born, she was there when I was born. So my whole life, 3 years of existence, she was my best friend. And then overnight, gone. And I went numb. And I created walls around my heart. And what I got in October, and I had known that for some time, right? Because I'm always constantly healing myself up. So I knew that I was numb, and I knew that I had walls around my heart. And I've connected that to clients, I've connected that to husband, I've connected that to friends. I had never made the connection with my mother to my walls, heart walls. And in October, I finally did. And I realized that, wow, I had pushed my mother behind the walls starting at age 3. Meaning, like, I had pushed her, I wouldn't let her love me. I wouldn't allow myself to receive her love because it was too painful, right? I wouldn't let myself receive her love since age 3. So all these decades, I've been yelling and blaming and, you don't love me. I'd never said that to her, but that was the whole thing. My energy was saying, you don't love me. You should have loved me more. You weren't there for me. It was a lot of finger pointing, right? It was a lot of finger pointing that was really nasty, trying to punish her, In this healing work of transformation, you got to get really honest. The stuff that we do, boy, it's, for survival's sake, it's ugly and nasty sometimes. And I punished my mother for not loving me enough all these decades, and then when I had my kids, like, shit really hit the fan because I would see her love on my kids, and I was like, what up? You never loved me. How dare you love my kids like that when you never loved me? It was a lot of resentment, a lot of pain, a lot of anger. But I really got this past October that all of that wasn't even true, because I pushed my mother out of my heart at age 3 when my sister passed. And so all these decades, all my life, I was not allowing myself to receive her love. So in fact, she was loving me. Right now I have different lens on, because once I made the connection and understood that I pushed my mother out all these years, I now see everything differently. Like, yeah, she's loved. She has the capacity to love. She has that. I judged her for not having a capacity to love. And all of a sudden, I'm really seeing things more clearly in October. And I was like, oh my God, no, she does have the capacity to love. And of course she loved me. She loved me my whole life, but I've pushed her and I've pushed her away and I've punished her and I've made it so damn hard for her love to land in my heart. It's all those heart walls. And when I got clear on that, I cried for 45 minutes. I did a whole post about that. And I sent an email out to my subscribers, really detailing out that 45-minute cry and all the insights that poured out from there. But once I made that connection and I took responsibility, I am the one that created this dynamic with my mother. I'm the one responsible for the rubber band. Like, I took responsibility for my part, for the trigger. It was all me. No one outside of me can make me angry. Just like no one outside of you can make you angry. I kept choosing it. And the anger, my choice to choose anger was me pushing the love away, right? Because I couldn't be with love on this side of the wall. It would hurt too much. So that shifted so much. Once the blame stopped, because that's a lot of finger pointing. Just notice where, whenever you're stuck within a relationship or something, how much of it is finger pointing. Once you stop the finger pointing, stop the blaming, and you take responsibility for your part, things shift. How you see the relationship, how you view the other person will shift. And it's needed in order for you to really create the transformation you want for that relationship. And so those are the key points in my transformation, and how I got here to 6 months trigger-free with my mother. Stop the blaming, take responsibility for the trigger, and once you get it, the true transformation will disappear the trigger completely. And so what it does for me now, the impact on me now, is I feel more free. I freed up my energetic space to allow in more goodness, to allow in more love, because now the anger is lifted, like completely gone. So I've actually slept at my mother's house a number of times because I had to do some events in the city. So I've slept at her house, kids' birthdays. I've been there a lot since October, like a lot since October. And even my husband notices it, right? And he's so proud of me, and he's just like, I never thought we'd get here because you're always yelling at your mother. But it's so lovely. It's lovely. And my kids notice it, and they're having a great time and a great relationship with my parents. Thank God I was able to have this transformation now, and not when, they're much older, we're all much older, and they're much sicker, etc. Right? Like, thank God I had this transformation now. And so this is one aspect of soul freedom. It's what I call soul freedom, when you really unshackle yourself from all the limiting low vibration energy, unshackle yourself from the anger, unshackle yourself from, whether it's guilt, and I've done that before too, with my mother, unshackle yourself from the guilt, unshackle yourself from the victimhood energy, unshackle yourself from scarcity, unshackle yourself from fear, all these things that literally like hold you down. When you unshackle yourself from that, from all those limitations, then you get to be free to live the life that you want. Live a life of peace and love and freedom and power, and just a juicy, extraordinary life that you're meant to live. The life that you really want and pray for. So all that comes with soul freedom. And so speaking of soul freedom, I also want to let you know, in addition to celebrating the 6 months of being trigger-free, which is amazing, I love that this is my message, that this is my soul's core message. Stepping into soul freedom when you unshackle yourself from all those limiting beliefs and limiting energies, because it's everything. Like, why are you here on earth? Right? Like, why are you here on earth? And if you're following me, and if you're in my tribe, like, you're most likely a light worker. You're most likely a healer or a coach, certainly a soul purpose driven entrepreneur, right? If you're following me, then I'm pretty sure you're a soul purpose driven entrepreneur. And so you have impact to create in the world. And in order for you to have that greater impact that you're meant to have, it's super important that you step into soul freedom so that you can really show up fully in your full power and serve in your fullest capacity. Because truth is, right, if I'm still anchored to all that guilt, and I was guilt-ridden back in 2016, 2017, I was guilt-ridden because I couldn't get myself to come up here to the mountains because I was feeling like I would be a bad daughter, feeling guilty for leaving my parents because I'm the eldest Chinese daughter. lots of guilt. It was going to cripple me and prevent me from going where my soul was called to go. And my soul was called to come to the mountains. It was a God breadcrumb, as I call it. My soul was called to come to the mountains for many different reasons. It wasn't just because, oh, I want to go to the mountains. It wasn't just because the mountains are good energy and it's more nature. It wasn't just that. There was a deeper reasons for my soul being called to relocate. Okay, it serves me and my business. It serves, my sole purpose. There are many different reasons why God will call you and ask you to do certain things, right? So I just surrender, but I was gonna not surrender. I was going to not follow that God breadcrumb, and if I did, it would have been the very first God breadcrumb that I did not follow in my adult life, and I was feeling soul crushed. So I had to really get rid of that guilt, this thing called duty that I was shackled to, right? That was making me feel so guilty. I had to let go of that and be free from the guilt and from the duty so that I can really show up in full power, living the life my soul wants to live, and then being able to serve in full capacity. So that's all a part of soul freedom. And I love that that's my message, because you can't, if you're in victim mode, how much of a transformation can you offer your clients, right? Let's be really, really honest. If you're in scarcity mode, how much can you really support your clients in creating abundance? If you're in fear mode, right, like every little change makes you really fearful and you haven't really mastered fear, how much transformation can you really offer your clients? If you're in guilty mode, or if you're constantly being angry, how much can you really support your clients in their deep, permanent transformation? It's limited, right? If you're going to be really honest, you can see how it would limit you in holding space for your clients to have deeper and deeper and deeper breakthroughs. And so I love that my soul's core message is soul freedom. And I actually say orgasmic soul freedom, because it felt so freaking good when I moved up here to the mountains. This sense of like, holy moly, there is so much, in my mind's eye, that is. It's like, holy moly, there's so much space in front of me. There's no barriers anymore. No stories about duty and guilt. And it just felt like possibilities, right? Like in front of me. There were no barriers. It seriously felt free, and it felt ecstatic at a cellular level. And the only way that I could articulate it was to call it orgasmic soul freedom. And I love that that's my message, because this is the pathway. This is the journey that will bring you the success in your business. Once you unshackle yourself from all of the limiting thoughts, beliefs, whatever circumstances, fear of judgment, whatever it is, once you let that go and free yourself from that, then you can show up in full power, in full force, and serve in your fullest capacity. That's how you make the impact that you're meant to make in the world. And so, because it's my soul's core message, I am continually stepping into deeper aspects of soul freedom. It's such a juicy journey. It feels so freaking good. I also cleaned up very recently, this past weekend, a week and a half ago, I reconnected with a friend of mine that I had cut out of my life 3 years ago. It was a really good friend of mine, one of my best friends from college. I cleaned that up, and I took responsibility for it. And so now there's more love. Okay. And that also, for me, is a level of soul freedom, when you can really not hold on to the past, not hold on to old energy, not hold on to resentment, all the things that you may be ignoring. When you clean that up, when you own responsibility for it, and when you commit to showing up in full love, full power, that's soul freedom. It frees your energetic field up so you can hold more, receive more goodness, opportunities, money, clients, all that good stuff. And so this is the way to soul purpose success for sure. And I'll tell you, once I landed on orgasmic soul freedom, and I landed on this back in 2017, once I landed on that phrase, and I was clear that this was my message for the world, I wanted this I wanted everyone to really access orgasmic soul freedom. Once I landed on that, my business changed. Once I landed on my soul's core message, I started to receive visibility opportunities like easily falling into my lap out of nowhere. People from around the world would contact me through my, the support inbox, and was just like, we heard about you. I have no idea how. We heard about you. We want you on our summit. And it was literally falling into my lap because I got clear on my soul's core message. And now that I aligned with it, it was time to spread that message. Yeah. So not only visibility opportunities, once I aligned with my soul's core message, more clients came in out of nowhere, and over 6 figures in sales got booked. And so it's just so beautiful and organic when you line up with your truth, your soul's core message for the world. And it's not a divine, it's not a universal truth, right? So there was a fellow who was a little, who had thought that I was talking about, a soul's core message being something like, you are peace and love. And that's true. As, divine sparks of God, that's all of us, all humanity, as divine sparks of God, you are peace and love. But your soul's core message will usually not be a universal truth. Your soul's message is going to come from a lived experience. Your soul's message is not something that you can look for in your head, right? It's certainly not out there with, you can't survey for this stuff. It's not external, and it's not in your head. It lies in your soul. And so that's what I want to do for you. I want to help you to access your soul's core message, to discover it in your soul and get visible with it. Because you know what? Once you line up with that, you're going to notice that everything in your business will change. It did for me, and it's true for my clients. So one client, once she got clear on her soul's core message, she went out and she brought in $20,000 within a 5-week period of discovering her soul's core message and then committing to getting visible with it. And of course, that took a little healing too, right? Like, you'll be confronted. I'm going to be upfront with you. When you discover your soul's core message, there's going to be some resistance, some discomfort, and then it's going to require a deeper level of healing so that you can get visible with it. But once you do this work, it will just blow the lid off your business. It's true for another client of mine who brought in 6 figures within just a couple of months of working with me. When she started to realize, hey, like, this is the formula that I've been sharing, but there's been this missing piece to it. And once we added that and we rounded out her message, so it was aligned with her soul's core message, then she got more sales, more clients renewing with ease. So that's what's really possible for you. Right? And you heard my story earlier with the visibility opportunities falling into my lap and booking over 6 figures within the same year that I landed on my soul's core message. So I want to offer that to you because you know what? Gosh, you've got great impact that you need to make, and I want you to get out there and really impact the people that are your soul clients, because your soul clients most likely will not be my soul clients, right? We're all light workers out here. We all have our own soul clients. So there's really no competition. But I'm committed to this world turning, to this world changing its trajectory to real peace. And, I say ascension. That's my language, right? So I am committed to not only Mother Earth ascending, but all of her children on this planet ascending. And for that to happen, I would support you and all the light workers as a collective. We've got to reach all of humanity. And so there's no more competition, bullshit, really. There is no competition. I need you guys to let that go. Let that go and support one another. And I'm here supporting you in helping you find your soul's core message so that we can really have this global impact that we're meant to have as a collective, okay? So how do you access your soul's core message? So I have a retreat coming up in May. It's going to be in Tarrytown, New York. It's in the Hudson Valley, beautiful, gorgeous mountain views. It was actually voted top American, I think top charming American city or something like that. It's super cute. Tarrytown, New York, May 12th through the 14th. You go to reneelee.net/retreat to sign up to join me for the 2.5-day event where we will really discover your soul's core message through sacred exercises, meditations, and intuitive coaching from me. You're going to really land on what it is that you're meant to share, what it is that your soul has been wanting to express from a very early age. And then we're going to create some beautiful bite-sized content. So you'll really walk away with a marketing plan as well, because we're going to create the bite-sized content for social media that are aligned with your soul's core message. So in addition to landing on this, having this little marketing plan and content for your social media, in addition to that, you're also going to be supported tons by Spirit. We're going to have spiritual exercises and activations, including a third eye activation from the Cosmic Christ and an ascension ceremony with Saint Germain, Ascended Master Saint Germain. We'll also have other activations and exercises sprinkled throughout the 2.5 days, but those are my opening ceremony and my closing ceremony that I have always used at all of my retreats. This will be my 7th retreat coming up. And the reason I have them sandwiched like that as an opening and a closing is because the third eye activation ceremony will support you in really gaining the divine insights that you'll need to have the deep breakthroughs across the 2.5 days. And then the ascension ceremony helps you to really anchor in and integrate all the energetic shifts that have been created over our time together across 2.5 days. So it's a beautiful, they're both beautiful ceremonies, and you get to walk away with real practical marketing stuff as well. So this really, I know it's going to be a game changer for your business. So join me for 2.5-day transformational retreat called Your Soul's Core Message in Tarrytown, New York, May 12th through the 14th. The link is above this video. Click on it. I want you to go there, learn more, see the full agenda, and then sign up and get in the room with me. Get in the room with me. It is time. It is time. Your soul clients are waiting for you. So thanks so much for watching. Thanks for celebrating my 6 months being trigger-free and just really following my journey. And so I want to support you right back by helping you discover your soul's core message. Click on the link below. If you have questions, you can put it down in the comments box underneath this video, or you could also private message me. So thank you so much again. I love you guys. I hope to see you in Tarrytown. Bye.